Welcome to another episode of Chitchatchai. We're here in 2024. Today I'm here with Rajib Muazzam, and he's going to talk about brown ink and specifically around what some of the issues are around South Asians getting into the creative industry. So have fun, listen in. We're going to chit chat and have chai.
And have chai, that's it. Shit. I was like, and have chai.
We're keeping that in. All right, Rajib, do you want to give a quick introduction on who you are, what you do, and what brown ink is as well?
Yeah, so I'm Rajib, obviously. You've already introduced me. I'm a design lead. I work for a tech company. Been a designer now for about 13, 14 years. 14 years now, yeah. I was a little bit late into the industry, so, I messed around a little bit for like 4 or 5 years before I got into design. But it completely changed my life, and recently I've started a networking event called Brown Ink, which is aimed at providing a space for South Asian creatives to come together, meet one another. As South Asians, we have a specific nuance to our careers and our working environments. I've worked for years and I've never worked with another South Asian creative person in my entire life.
Fair, yeah, because they're too busy being doctors and engineers.
Yeah. Or they're all in finance.
True.
So or devs. So that's kind of why I created Brown Ink, to create an environment where I can meet other brown creative people.
Other brown people, yeah. So can you give a bit of for guys who don't know what designing is, because some people might think you're designing like Gucci handbags, Like, can you just describe what does your role actually encapsulate?
Yeah, so my role at the moment is over like marketing, branding, digital. So anything you ever see, like we do like paid social ads. So when you're on social media, you see a little advert popped up that's been designed by someone from my team, essentially. It could be a new product. So we've got a new product for the company I work for that's gone live, created a new web page, new marketing materials, actually worked on the design of that digital product. So everything.
Do you make
really.
The adverts for it as well, like the
so
videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, we don't do videos as much.
Yeah.
We've done like 1 or 2 videos for product launches, but typically it's like static launches. Yeah. We've got an amazing illustrator who we work with in-house, and she I don't know how
does
she
all
does
the
it.
magic. Yeah.
I can't draw at all, so when she does something, I'm like, wow, okay, it's amazing.
That's like Julian, yeah, he does all our drawing for us.
Are you looking for someone?
Yeah. No, she's really good.
So you've been in the design industry, or you've been a designer for, you said, like 14 years, right?
Yeah, 14 years.
And you haven't met a single South Asian?
Not another South Asian designer, not in person. So I've known of people online, like LinkedIn, Instagram. Face to face, I've never worked with anyone. Yeah. When I go to events, I go to networking events or conferences, you might see 3 or 4 brown faces in the crowd.
But not many, yeah.
But very, very rarely. So yeah.
And what kind of jobs? Because I work in the tech space as well, and it's full of brown people.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's more technical, right? They go into the tech space, the consulting. You mentioned finance before as well.
Yeah.
And
product managers.
Exactly, product managers, BAs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Project managers,
Yeah.
So what do you think where do you think the issue is? Is that they don't know about those career fields, or they're not exposed to it? What do you think it is?
I think it's a bit of a cycle. So, I was discussing this quite recently. It's a bit of a wheel. So first of all, there is a lack of role models that are graphic designers or 3D animators. There are people out there, but there's not a lot. Yeah. And to kind of find those people, you have to really do a lot of digging. And as a young person, you've just finished college, you're thinking about uni, you kind of look to those other South Asian people in your community, the ones that you know of, to kind of say, they're doing that job, it sounds quite cool, or they're really successful because they've done that. So you tend to pursue those careers. Yeah. When you don't know many South Asian designers, it's never something you think, that's even a job really, I guess.
Because I got to be honest, when I came out of uni, I was thinking, I just want to be in a field that I can see a long-term career in. And I think the creative industry gets a bit of slack for that, right? Because it's like, you want to be an artist?
Yeah.
When you think creative, that's what it is. But I think now, content creation, that's becoming its own niche, creating content for brands. Yeah. But I think that's only come now, we're exposed to it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think traditionally, a lot of South Asian parents think of design and think art. Yeah. You're going to become a painter. Yeah. It's there's so much
There's so much in it.
within that spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, you've got from graphic design to fashion design
Yeah.
to digital and illustration, and all those careers can earn you money and you can be very successful, enjoy your work. But yeah, the mentality is, oh, you're just going to become a painter. Like, what type of job is that?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not
Or you,
traditional, respectable.
or you're gonna make clothes like kurta shalwars and
yeah,
stuff. You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah. You know, so
But in terms of the, because I don't know much about the even the design industry.
Yeah.
We work with like UX designers and stuff, and I know their field is like quite in demand because of apps and use of like mobile phones and technology and stuff. But even within that, I don't have much awareness of why they're paid what they're paid, what their pay ranges are and stuff like that as well. So could you share like some information on, for a guy coming out of uni or a lass coming out of uni, if they go into it, what's like the entry market looking like? And then what could that career look like 5 to 10 to 15 years?
yeah, so I think, you know, it's a good point. Like now, UX design's in demand, and especially like with the rise of apps and websites like becoming really popular in the last like 10, 20 years, UX design has like gone through the roof. One thing to note is within design, UX has always been a part of it. Even in print design, UX is basically user experience. It's how a user interacts with whatever it is you've created. So a lot of people forget that. Like everyone has an element of UX design about. If you're a designer, you know a little bit about UX because you have to think about who the end user is. In terms of the market, yeah, it's a really growth market at the moment. It's becoming a lot more difficult because a lot more people trying to go into it.
Exactly.
There's not many people that have been doing UX for like 10 years, for example. So really senior roles are quite hard to get into because they're looking for 10, 15 years experience. Exactly. UX as a job title hasn't really been around for very long. So it's a really niche amount of people that you're really focusing on. But it's great, like I know people that have gone on, done a course, 4-month, 6-month course, learnt Figma, learnt like really basic UX principles, have gone straight into a company as an intern within the UX department, just kind of like really progressed and learning as much as they can from other people and, kind of elevating their career from there. Or some people have gone to university and studied UX, which is really good. There's a lot of different avenues. Don't have to go down the university avenue.
Exactly, yeah.
But that is there, if you want to feel like.
Yeah, I always say that as well. Whenever someone says that they want to get into the tech field and they're going to university to do it, I'm like, bro, you can literally learn it in half the time. You can get the same amount of qualifications, spend half the amount of money. Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
And you can be chilling.
Yeah. I think there's pros and cons to both. I think, if I look back on my career, my degree, I ended up spending 4 years on my degree.
What was your degree?
My degree is actually in fashion and brand promotion.
Okay, cool.
So it encapsulated everything from design to print to PR to marketing, photography also. I just wanted to do something as creative as possible. Yeah. I knew I wanted to go into graphic design, but I didn't want to do a graphic design degree because I wasn't 100% sure. I wanted to just like pigeonhole myself kind of thing.
I have a question. What did your...
Yeah.
Like, if I said to my parents that I wanted to do that degree, bruh, it would have been the longest day in the dunya.
Yeah.
So did you have that support from home as well to say, like, you're a creative fella, go for it?
Yeah. My story is a bit of a weird one because I think I did get that support eventually.
Right, okay.
But a little bit was out of just frustration from my parents of, I finished my GCSEs, I went to college, got kicked out of my first college, went on to do A-levels for another 2 years, completed my A-levels, didn't want to go into university doing any of the things that I'd studied. I really wanted to do art, and it was like a really random encounter at a wedding actually with just a woman she was an art teacher. We're actually staying at her house, first time we ever met her. I used to love sketching at that time. She was like, oh, you're really good at drawing, like, what are you doing? Are you like studying art? And I was like, no, just for fun, listen, I'm not like studying anything, I just finished my A-levels, don't know what to do. She was like, why don't you do this for your living? Like, you can take art and turn it into a career. And she was like the first person ever that had kind of opened my eyes to...
Yeah, because she's a role model, right?
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
lived it.
Yeah, she's lived it, she's taught people. And that really was like the first step for me. And then luckily my dad was a photographer for about 30 odd years.
Was that a fun thing that he used to do, like do photography? Or?
Yeah, he enjoyed it. He worked for a newspaper. I did like freelance stuff as well. I never really thought about this. He passed away a couple of years ago, and when we were kind of going through his stuff, we found these like old like calligraphy pens that he had.
Wow, yeah.
So when he first came to the UK, he was a hand calligrapher. So back then, the Urdu newspapers that he worked on, everything was handwritten.
Oh wow.
So he had made these like using like big pens
Yeah.
and like melting like calligraphy nibs onto the tip, so that he could really like write with it and customize it a little bit. Yeah, so he was
Wow, that's
always quite
amazing, yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
So I think through that's where I got my creativity from, and it made it a little bit easier on my parents to be like, yeah, do what you want. But a lot of it was a bit of frustration, a bit of, they met people that were art teachers, and I know you can do this as a career, so they felt a little bit more
Reassured, right?
reassured that, oh wow, this is actually could lead on to something. Yeah, and then once I enrolled at college I didn't do art at GCSE, so I had to go back and do BTEC and never look back. Like it just, went one thing to another. So
The creative
Yeah.
industry, man, that is something, huh? So then, okay, so I understand that you went through the artistic route that I think most people don't know about. So you went through the artistic route, and then how did you get into UX then?
yeah, so my role at the moment is, we do a little bit of everything. So it's not just purely UX.
Okay.
So I manage we do print marketing, digital marketing, brand. Like we just did a whole massive rebrand for the company I work for. We did it all in house. We do UX, UI as well. It's just over the years, really. Like my first few jobs were very much I joined startups or really small companies where, as an individual, you get to do lots of different things. There's good parts of that because you get to do a lot. So you develop your skills. The negative is you're not really learning from anyone. So you're kind of having to paving your own way. So when I first had those first few jobs in a bigger company, in a bigger design team, it was a bit of a shock because obviously my ways of working were very different to what the industry standard was. So it was a lot of bit of a learning curve there to kind of get over. But yeah, initially I started off as a print designer, and then just digital was the future. So I did more and more digital stuff.
And now it's really picked up, right?
It's really picked up now. So my last few jobs have been, I worked for an agency where we did a little bit of digital, a little bit of print. I worked for a sports consultancy where it was pretty much all digital work.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And now I work for a tech company where again it's all digital. All digital.
Yeah.
So.
And what's the market trend been like? Because I don't know about any of the market trend, but has it been like during COVID you saw a massive increase in the digital market?
I'd say the opposite. I think during COVID, the job market got very difficult because a lot of people were being made redundant, laid off. A lot of big tech companies use that as an opportunity to kind of, get rid of a whole host of people from their companies. There was huge layoffs. So at that time, especially as a young creative, you're now competing against people that have been in the industry for several years.
Exactly.
They've been let go from big brands, and now they're looking for jobs. So
yeah, they look good.
it was
on
quite
paper.
difficult then. I think now it's started to kind of level out, and now you're starting to see a bit more of a demand again. But tech, digital, that's where the future is. Everything is. We look at AR, VR, and stuff, and that's like the next big step, isn't it?
I have a massive question.
Yeah.
How much has AI helped or impacted your industry? Because we've been testing out AI as well, and it's amazing what it can do.
Yeah.
Especially for editing and stuff like that, it just does it for you.
Yeah, no, it's great. We've actually got some new tools coming out where we work, where we've trying to embed AI into the product. I don't think there's a single SaaS tech business out there that isn't trying to add AI to their kind of toolkit.
Exactly.
One, it's on trend at the moment as well. Everyone wants a bit of AI. Whether what is AI? It's not true AI like what we envisaged. It's just a question and answer system essentially. But yeah, it's the growth industry. Everyone wants a bit of it, and it makes your products sound a lot more smart, a little more intelligent.
Exactly, yeah.
There's more to it. Oh, this is the future. We need this.
It's the buzzword everyone wants to hear, right?
That's it, exactly, yeah.
We've been testing out, what have we used AI on as well? It was like the editing and, is that it?
Clips, sound fixing.
Sound fixing, yeah, that saved a lot of time, right?
Yes, it was a struggle because I tried to do it manually, but yeah, sound fixing from Adobe Audition to have an AI thing is actually helpful.
We used it for product design.
Music as well, we used it
Yeah.
to create music, no copyrighted music.
It's like it's doing all of this for us.
Yeah,
Before it would take ages to even find non-copyrighted music.
Creating the advert designs, and yeah, that was it pretty much.
Yeah.
When I was doing graphic designing, I was using that as a tool to get inspired mostly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because using it, it doesn't really do at once it's a high resolution, you realize that it's AI,
Mm.
so it kind of drags away from the reality of it. So we were trying to be as real as possible. So then we had to use that one as an inspiration for our graphic designing work that I was doing for the brand for.
What? Oh,
Promote.
this has been sponsored by Sober Remedies.
And
I think AI is like, you hate it.
I hate it. It's
Yeah.
making people lazy. It's all if and else statements. And in fact, it's people are getting more lazy because they're using it and they're not learning. It is just code.
I challenge that.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
Yeah,
I-
we
I-
both disagree.
It's
Sorry.
Not it's not customizing it. It's people pressing buttons. It's not AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's if and else statements.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's consuming
I
all the
would-
information out there.
But you can use it for design. Like I think AI in design is like a big thing at the moment where a lot of creators are really afraid of it because they think it's going to take over, especially like all these Adobe products. And I think that's wrong. I think it's just another tool as a
To
creator
use,
to
yeah.
use, especially when it comes to tech. You know, you can put in some queries and prototype something so quick. That doesn't mean that's your final creative that you're going to push
Exactly.
live, but you know, it's a proof of concept
Yeah.
that you can do something. Oh, I've got this idea. Give me like a few quick sketches, a few ideas around it, and you know, if you use it in the right way, I think it's a very powerful tool. But
So I have a question that might link into brown ink as well. So, you know, when I use AI, there's a lot of like bias because it only knows what is being fed in, right? So, especially from a creative point of view, if I wanted to create something with a bit of a South Asian twist on it, like you need to be able to know what to search from that South Asian perspective. But that wouldn't be the first thing that AI would show you, right? So is that something that you're concerned about, that from a South Asian perspective, there's one thing about South Asian creatives, but then there's also the tools that they want to use aren't necessarily tailored towards our culture, right?
yeah, I think that's such a big thing there because we see it all the time now with data and technology. Where you know, isn't it things when the sensors where you open like automatic doors only read certain types of people because they've been trained to read certain types of people. Like, you know, if you have all Caucasian people testing it, it's trained to learn, oh, okay, this person's Caucasian, open the door. If your pigmentation is slightly darker, it might not work. And it happens to me all the time. I go, wash my hands, you put your hands in dry, and I'm like, keep going like this till it activates. And then someone else comes along, puts their hand on it, and it works straight away. So I think that's a big problem for all these like technology companies, AI. Yeah, what you put into it is what you get. We need to be putting more diverse information into it. So yeah, for sure, I think it's something that needs to be looked at eventually.
Yeah, because I think one thing I was trying to get to is, I don't think, like, you know, you're saying that the creative industry is like a cycle, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the expanse of time, I think it is like a cycle, because when you look at like I'm going to say Islamic art, and the calligraphy and the type of architecture that they were making, they were at the peak of art and design. They were like leading the rest of the world. And now that's kind of slumped down, but that art that they created, it hasn't been digitized, right?
Yeah.
So there's no asset to say like, oh, this is an architecture piece, like let's take images of it and then feed it into tools.
Yeah, I think there is. I think, you know, I think Adobe have like AI tools at the moment where like image generation, and they obviously got Adobe stock images where there's photos from all over the world, tens of thousands.
And it just takes it in.
It just takes it in, but it's all about the tagging of those assets. Like you need to know what the right keywords are, which anyone that's about to a creative agency, and you have to like source images for a campaign. Sourcing images is the one. It's just the hardest and most annoying job in the world because you have to have the right keywords to find the images you want. Otherwise, you can be there for days just going through every single image that Adobe stock or Getty Images has.
If we use an actual example, you know the sports consultancy that you worked for, what would be a keyword there? Would it be like weights, creatine?
Yeah,
biceps?
so they were more like aimed at like professional sports organisation. We work with like the Premier League and the FA. So for them, it will be more things like, you know, those sort of key terms like you know, professional football or professional rugby, for example. Which, you know, they're quite easy because they don't bring up loads of stuff. But yeah, you need to know what your keywords are for your niche, basically. Yeah, and that's always something that you need to learn and kind of identify what those things are.
Marvelous. I need to look into this, man. So coming into Brown Ink then, so you said that you wanted to create a space where, I mean, if you haven't seen any brown people in the creative industry,
Yeah.
so who comes, how do you attract people to your events? Is it, like, what is it?
Yeah. So our events have been going on for about 6 months. We started it earlier this year.
Okay, cool.
The very first event, I think we had like 3 people turn up. Yeah, 3 people, which even those 3 people was a bit of a shock to me. I was like, oh, okay, there's some people there. You do feel a little bit disheartened because we had about like 30, 40 people maybe sign up, and 3 people turn up, but it was like, oh, there's still people coming. Then we did it the second month, and the second month it was like 15 people turned up, I think.
Wow, so it's growing, yeah.
Quite a lot of people on the second time, and that was like the moment I realised, oh, actually, shit, there's a demand here, because we had like juniors, people that owned their own agencies were there, all brown, and I was like, we did a bit of a workshop, and out of that workshop, everyone said the same thing, like, it's very rare to meet other South Asian creatives, like, we're out there,
Exactly.
but it's hard to kind of come together because, it's all about your network, because if you don't know who those people are, you never meet them, or you go to a networking event, and the creative industry itself is very Caucasian, especially in the UK. So you go to any sort of networking event or design event or conference.
Yeah, it's all the same. Huh?
It's all the same people, and to find those few brown faces is really hard. And
Yeah, and when you see them, it's like, oh.
yeah, and it's a bit awkward. Like, what do you do? Do you go over and be like, "Hi, like I'm brown, you're brown. Like, should we chat?" Like, how do you start that conversation up? It's yeah, a bit of a weird one. So that's why we wanted to create this, to kind of see if there was even a demand. I felt it was like, my goal was, oh, if a few brown people turn up, that's amazing, because it'll make me feel
I like
a bit
that
better.
you wanted to connect with people, and you went out and you organised an event yourself.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Yeah.
And what would you say is what's the purpose behind it? What do you want to achieve with it?
Yeah, I think when I first started, it was literally, I just want to meet other South Asian designers. I've worked 14 years. There's been certain things I've come across in my career where you feel like, oh, do you know what, it would be really good to have another South Asian person to talk to about this, because there are like some nuances to things. So that was my initial goal. Once we started getting people coming, and we talked about some really deep things and conversations we had in those first few events, it makes you realise, actually, we all feel a little bit isolated, and we need to create something that brings people together, and we all share the same challenges and the same feelings. So yeah, now obviously it's been going on for 6 months. We've done a bit of a plan for 2024. We want to do a lot more events. Our events are free. We're going to be doing some paid events, which really target some of the specific pain points. Imposter syndrome is a big one for all creatives, but especially amongst South Asians, they feel it a lot. A lot of South Asians have like a bit of an identity crisis, especially if you're growing up in the UK. I was. You're caught between this sort of like English culture and then your own like home culture, and that's always a real challenge to deal with, especially when you go into the creative industries, which are very much owned by a lot of Caucasian males. They own all the companies, like the majority of them. So you go into these environments, and you're always like a bit torn between like your true self or your religion or your culture and the culture that they've created in the workplace that they're used to. And
but I have a question. So in my workplace, we have like diversity targets, right? So they're trying to bring like diversity into. Is it the same in the creative industry as well? Is that something that they're trying to mandate?
Yeah, there's we've got the Design Council in the UK, which is an organisation who try and champion a lot of different stuff. Diversity is a big one, but a lot of companies have diversity targets. But having a target is good, but it's the little details that make the big difference. So we were talking about this earlier today. It's Christmas time. A lot of companies are having events at the moment, or Christmas parties, and how many of them will be, oh, let's all go to the pub for a drink, or let's go to a restaurant for food. And if you're a Muslim like myself and you don't drink, that's a problem. Or if you're Hindu and you don't eat meat, and everyone's going to, I don't know, there's a place in Worthing called the Piggery where it's just like pig roast, and you don't eat meat. My
worst nightmare. Oh my days.
That's a big problem, But it's still, do you go along? Do you not go along? Like, you almost feel alienated. Do you feel a bit weird saying, no, I'm not going to go? You don't want to do that because then you don't want to be, excluded or be seen as a problem. Like, oh, this person's always causing a problem. They're never happy with anything. But
oh yeah, I was having a conversation because we just had a Christmas thing. I'm not going to call it a do. It's just a Christmas thing. and we ended up going to it was like a pub kind of food place.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that I don't drink, and everyone knows that I always order like a pot of tea. Yeah, I'm the guy with like pouring tea in the middle of everything. And I was like, oh, I want a pot of tea, and then I got a glass of Coke, and they were like, oh no, we're not going to give you tea. And I was like, are you taking the piss? Like what? And then one of my friends, because everyone is like relatively comfortable, she went and got me tea.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's so nice, you know. And like everyone's like accepting. You do what you want.
Yeah.
We'll include you in, but we're not gonna. Like they found it weird that I didn't get the cup of tea, so they went out and did it. But I think it's difficult because like for me, I literally don't care what people think. So I'll go and I'll be like, why would I drink?
Yeah.
I'll literally say, why would I do it? You know?
Yeah, no, and that's what you should do. You know, if you don't drink, you shouldn't feel like you can't go. Just don't drink. Get a Coke or something.
Exactly. I know a lot of people find it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like just even being in the environment.
Yeah, but I think that's on companies. Like it's good to have D&I targets, but create an environment that is inclusive. You know, have those. Every social doesn't have to be drinks down a pub.
Exactly.
Let's go bowling, or let's do something where everyone can kind of participate, or you know, but
go to a chai place.
Yeah, go to a chai place. Yeah, why not? Bubble tea.
You know, I introduced one of my work guys to bubble tea. Changed his life. Like, he raves on about it. He's like, oh my god, I had that jasmine green tea with those bubbles on my. And I'm like, man, there's a bigger world out there. So coming back to Brown Ink. So you decided to create Brown Ink to build that community and to network between each other. You said it's a community for designers. Is it like broader than designers? Is it for anyone that's creative? So could I was going to say, Julia, could I like pop up to one and be like, oh, I'm a creative, I have a podcast? Is it?
Yeah, so we say we are a networking event for people working in creative industries. Now, traditionally, that means people that work in like marketing, in digital roles, in like creative roles like design, etc. We get a lot of people that are outside of that. So we've had like musicians and sculptors turn up, and everyone's welcome. But you know, our content is designed for that core audience of people that work in those traditional creative industries. So that's who we're really targeting. But obviously, you're going to attract people from outside of that, and you know, we're welcome to everyone. Everyone that turns up. You know, there's a place for you. You can meet other people, and people collaborate on projects as well. So you know.
All right. So coming back to South Asians.
Yeah.
So what are some of because there's challenges faced at home, and then there's challenges faced in the industry. So do you want to cover like some of the challenges that South Asians face?
Yeah. So I mean, we've already kind of spoken about, you know, the challenge of getting young people into the design industry, whether it's your family or you don't see other people, role models. Once you get into industry, like salaries is a big thing. You know, there was a recruitment agency based in the UK. They also got offices across Europe. They did your annual salary survey that every recruitment company does. They've specialised in the creative industry, so those like marketing, digital and creative roles. And in their salary review, it came out that South Asian salaries across 2022 went down by 3.7%.
It went down.
Went down. However, during the same period for Caucasian people, their salaries went up by 7.3%. So,
but that's up against inflation. So what?
That salary gap is getting bigger. They're getting paid above inflation rate. But for South Asians, it's going the other way. And it's really like
why is that?
Struggling.
Is it just because there's a lack of South Asians? Well, I mean, there is a lack of South Asians.
Yeah, there's a lack of South Asian. A lot of it's nepotism as well. You know, as I said, the creative industry predominantly is dominated by, you know, Caucasian males, and a lot of creative companies, it's who you know that get you into the company. And you know, we talked about work culture. You know, if you're like friendly with everyone, you know, you're more likely to get a promotion. If you're going to those socials that maybe you're not comfortable with going to. So, you know, those people tend to be very similar to each other. So they have a similar background, come from a similar environment. Typically are all Caucasian. So, you know, you're more likely to get a pay rise. Where if you're South Asian and you're not going to socials, or you know, you're not seen, not heard, or you're overly challenging on stuff, you know, sometimes that's not seen as a good thing, and they're like, oh well, you know, they don't deserve a pay rise or whatever compared to some of your counterparts. So there's a lot of like different things to it.
So what's being done? Because that sounds relatively negative. Huh?
Yeah, but it's the same across, you know, we're talking about South Asians specifically, but across all ethnic groups, it's a similar story. You know, people are getting paid less compared to Caucasian people,
Yeah.
especially in the UK. You know, it's a thing that's been around for years now. It's not a hidden story. You know, everyone's talking about like salaries and you know, gender equality and you know, cultural equality, and it is a big problem. And you know, companies need to do better, and you know, not just bring in a little paragraph on their website that says, "I know we care about diversity and inclusion," but actually do stuff around it. You know, identify those lower paid people and help. Okay, maybe they're not good enough for the next level up, but give them bespoke training, tailor them, like work with South Asians to kind of level them up, get them to the level that you expect them to be at. So there's not an excuse to pay them low salaries, really.
Exactly. I didn't know. It was like that. I think in the industry I'm in, the like consulting industry, I think it's so performance driven that like your performance kind of dictates if you get promoted and stuff like that. But then you're right, some of those social aspects, like in those conversations when you're out socially, you'll find, oh, there's an opportunity, and they'll be like, oh, why don't I put you there? And you wouldn't ever have that in the office.
No,
you know, it's outside. That is interesting. So what are some of the misconceptions? So, you know, for the parents that might be listening to this and then their kid is like, oh, I want to go in the creative industry, you know? Like, what are some of the misconceptions about having that career in the creative space?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it. A lot of parents or people think, oh, it's just art. What kind of job is that? You're going to become a painter? Like, the creative industry has so many aspects to it. There's so many, like, going to graphic design or, you know, within graphic design, there's so many different roles. Or you talked about UX. Within UX, you've got, like, UX researchers, UX writers, and, like, it's so nuanced. There's so many roles out there. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to go into jobs, especially from South Asian backgrounds. It's, you know, we do chase that money, you know, status and money and security. Essentially, that's what that brings, isn't it? But there is security in the creative industry. You know, salaries are a little bit low when you first get into it. But once you get established and, you know, really work hard and, you know, learn more, you're always learning, being really creative, you know, problem solving, the money's there. The money comes, especially at the bigger businesses. They want the best talent and they're willing to pay, you know, through the roof to get that best talent. So, you know, that's always a bit of a barrier to entry. People think, oh, there's no money in design or in the creative industries. There's so much money. You know, if you do well in any role, you'll get paid.
So I'm just let me go into like a Asian parent's mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, say a kid wants to go into the creative industry. I am not exposed to the creative industry. I'm exposed to like the standard engineering, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Where I know that as you get experience and you accumulate that experience, you gain like SME knowledge and all that stuff, and you progress like that. But I feel like with the creative industry, a lot of it is the onus is on you, right? Like you have to be continuously creative, and you have to demonstrate a different set of skills almost. Could you like touch on some of the skills that you think differentiate a good creative compared to an average one?
Yeah, good. I think the biggest thing is someone that always learns. I've worked with creative people who they get a bit established, they get to a certain level, and then they stop learning new things or they stop doing trainings off their own back, and you kind of stagnate. And what happens is other people come along, new technologies come out. You know, we spoke about Figma. Figma's been around a few years now. There's been a few different products at that same like level. Figma's the one that's kind of won out at the moment. You have to learn these new technologies and new principles. You know, design's changing. You've got AI, you know, AR as well coming out, and it's becoming more of a bigger thing. Understanding what implications that has on the work you do on other design, and you know, you don't have to get into it, but just having a bit of a knowledge base around it is important. You have to be continually learning, and I think that's with any job. If you look at the most successful people in any sort of career stream, whether it's like an engineer or a doctor, the ones that make it right to the top are the ones that are always learning new things, adding more to their toolkit. That's what you need. You just learn all the time. You know, read books, do courses, do conferences, practice your craft as well. Like design is one of those things where, you know, everyone, you know, we have it in the office all the time. People are, oh, I've learned this new thing and this shortcut is amazing. And it's like, okay, cool. But if you don't use it every day for the next month, you're going to forget about it.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, you have to be on it and just keep doing stuff. And everyone's creative ultimately. You know, it's just about harnessing that and bringing it to the
I feel
forefront.
so sad, bro. I feel like I'm only creative on Excel. Can you imagine that, bro? Like,
have you seen like the Excel World Cups? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
On Twitch.
Oh, I have seen that. Oh, my days.
You get set like a challenge, and there's well, people just compete on Excel to solve the problem.
Who can do it the quickest, most
Yeah.
efficient?
That's fun.
It's insane. Yeah.
Wanna do that.
Excel World Cup.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sounds lame, but when you watch it, you're like, you can't stop watching it. You're like, what is going on? Yeah. I hate Excel, by the way. It's like the worst program
I hate
for me.
it as well. I hate. I love it because it does everything I need. But anyway. So how are you using brown ink to help people excel or enter or accelerate their creative careers?
Yeah, I guess lots of different things. Obviously, first of all, meeting people like yourself is good because you have someone to talk to about your problems. I've had a mentor for many years. He's not South Asian, unfortunately, but he has helped me in my career like to no ends. And I think coming to Brown Ink, we've had some good cases where people have found mentors at our events and have gone on to speak. And I think mentoring is such an important thing. And mentoring doesn't have to be a one-to-one thing. It could just be coming to a free event, speaking to someone, I've got this problem, what should I do? Giving someone a little bit of advice on what you would do just helps. I think at our last event last month, there was a girl, and I won't say her name or where she works, but she's in this phase where she's kind of been given a new job, but they haven't really negotiated what her salary is.
I see.
But she's replacing someone in the company, and she knows what that person was on. And she was like, I've asked to have that salary chat a few times, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll have it soon.
Yeah.
But it's got to a point where she's about to start the new role,
And they haven't had that.
and they haven't had that chat. And she was like, what do I do? And I was like, well, I think you just have to be upfront and just message and say, look, I'm about to start this role in a week's time. I need to know what my salary is going to be.
Exactly.
Is it the same? It should be going up.
Yeah.
And also how to handle that salary conversation. She was like, oh, well, what do I do if they ask me how much I want? And we talked about things like anchoring, where you put a random figure out there and it helps anchor your salary to makes it less negotiable. And she never heard of that before, so she was like, oh, I'm definitely going to use that. And don't sell yourself short. And I think as South Asians, we always sell ourselves short. Or we've had this in one of our events. One of the big questions was around like, how do you feel when your company's negotiating salaries? And people almost feel appreciative to get whatever they get.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong mentality to have. Like, know your worth. And coming to our events, hopefully we make people feel a bit more empowered to go away and have these like difficult conversations in their companies, in their businesses, to say, I can provide you X, Y, and Z, and I'm worth this amount, and this is what I need.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that will help alleviate some of the lower salaries as well, because people are really challenging businesses on if you really value my time and the work I'm doing, pay me what I'm worth.
But,
You had one job.
so I mean, Assalamualaikum.
On it.
All right, so give me some advice as well, some heart-to-heart advice.
Okay.
Brown to brown, brown ink to brown ink. I don't know. But say I want to start a career in the creative industry.
Yeah.
Like you've already met me and Yulian. We want to get into that creative space, like creating videos, materials, adverts, stuff like that. Like actual more video-focused adverts. How do we get into it? How do we market ourselves?
Yeah, I think you're in a unique position because you're already doing stuff already. You need a portfolio of work. That's what people are going to look at. But it's more than just showing the work. I think a lot of like young creators make this mistake. They have a beautiful portfolio. The work looks amazing. They don't really show how they got to those conclusions. They don't really show the inner value. I say this to my design team all the time when we talk about things. I'm like, we're not paying you to use Figma or Photoshop. Anyone can learn to use that. We're paying you for your mental capacity to come up with creative solutions. So if you want to market yourself as a production company, essentially, you need to show beyond just the final output what you can offer people. This is our creative process. This is how we're going to help your business. By creating adverts, we can like 10x or whatever that value is. We can help you, promote your business, generate more income. What's the value and how are we going to do that? What's the design thinking behind it? It's not just, oh, we're going to make a pretty video. It's, well, we understand who your market is, and you've got your own business at the moment, and it's sort of like, who's that customer? What really appeals to that customer? Like understanding, putting yourself in their shoes, understanding what their needs are, and creating content based on that, and then putting that on your portfolio and saying, look, this is who the customer was. We've really understood the nuances of that customer's experience, and we've created a tailored advert or social campaign around that, which really focuses on that sort of like need that they have. That's what a lot of creative people don't have. Like, people apply for jobs all the time. CVs come in, the work looks beautiful,
But there's no context.
but there's no
around
context to it. You need to provide
see.
context.
So say I wanted to go into it, and because that's kind of my job as well. Like, I define context for my work in consulting, and there's a lot of, like, I understand the value add that you're trying to demonstrate, but say we create a video, do we need to test that video with their market first? Do we need to show that?
Yeah, I think I'm a huge believer in testing.
Yeah.
I just think test everything, because testing just gives you so much more information that you'd never have. Otherwise, you go in blind and, you know.
But when I mean testing, I mean, do I need to demonstrate that that's the value that I'm bringing? Or can it just be, this is what I believe the value to be based on this analysis?
I think it's a bit of both. I think once you build up a reputation,
Yeah.
then you don't need to test it, because you
you
have that reputation and
Exactly.
results. If you're starting out early, then test and show. You know, well, again, we come back to like creative portfolios. Everyone does work that has an impact at the end.
Yeah.
For the end user, but so many portfolios don't talk about that figure.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
You might create a social campaign for your business,
But
or
what did it mean?
the brand that you work for. Well, what was the output? What came out of it? Did more people sign up? How many people clicked on it? Like, that gives so much context to your work. It's, you know, you've created a campaign that's really targeted to a certain person, and it's driven results.
Exactly. We actually
want
did
that
this.
person.
We did that with Sub Remedy. So there's like certain periods in the year where marketing videos just do way better, and it's because of like, because we're a Muslim-owned business. Like Ramadan, we post a video, insane amount of views, like instantly. But it's like certain days, like the 27th night and stuff like that. Like things, people are searching for that message, and we provide it at the right time, and we've seen amazing results with it. So maybe we just need to tailor that, but for other things.
Yeah, and I think if you want to do a similar thing for other businesses, you know, I mean, you work in consultancy. That's like the first thing you need to do is understand that customer. Who are they? You know, it might be for Christians, like Christmas time's coming up, or Easter, or there's other like, you know, what is it? Oh my God, I can't remember what it's called now. When they give up one piece of food for like a month. I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh,
Lent.
Lent, yeah.
Lent's coming up, and knowing when those dates are, and being like, okay, your product is aimed at this people around these.
Exactly.
These are the key times. You know, these are when people are going to be searching for it. When the demand is high, you're only going to know that after researching who that customer is, and people don't do that research. And if you look at the best agencies or the best businesses out there,
they do that.
They know who the customer is.
Exactly. So I know we're going to talk about the future of Browning, but I think I know where it's leading to. But I'll ask anyway. Is Browning, like, because you have so much experience and there's a wealth of experience between the people that you know, and you know what the clients expect because you've been in this industry for so long, is there an opportunity to turn Browning into an agency itself?
Wow. There is the opportunity to do that, but that's not going to be our focus for the next, 2 years, if I think about it. It's more about, branding's always been about helping people. You know, I've had that need. You know, I've been quite fortunate to get to where I am because I've had some great support through people. Not everyone has that same opportunity, and I think Browning's more about providing that space.
That mentorship as well.
Mentorship, you know, we're thinking about doing like training in 2024 around specific needs like imposter syndrome, or how to have like difficult conversations at work, etc. That's what it's going to be about, and I think that's, at least for the next 2 years, that's the focus, is providing training, helping people upskill. We want to create those South Asian role models so that we can attract that new generation of South Asians into the creative industry.
Exactly.
That's the ultimate goal, really, for Browning.
So the future vision is more around the social aspect, supporting the community and growing the community, creating those role models. That's amazing. And what do you have in store for 2024?
Yeah, lots. So, you know, we've recently done a whole workshop around 2024, and bit of a roadmap at the moment, but a lot of different ideas. So we're going to be offering like training events. So we've got a training course potentially coming. Won't be for the first 6 months, but for the second half of the year, maybe around imposter syndrome and, you know, again, how to have difficult conversations at work. You know, we've done a lot of research into who our customers are and what our community looks like. We have people from juniors to midweights to people that own their own agencies come up, and everyone has different needs. So tailoring different trainings, different workshops around what those people are. needs are. That's one thing. We're looking at bringing out webinars next year as well. So, again, we've got a lot of like creative directors and design directors who come to Brown Ink, getting them onto a live webinar where maybe
That'd be good, yeah.
young people can send in their portfolio, do a live portfolio review.
That'd be good.
Same for CVs, and just getting really inspiring people on to talk about their journey in the creative industry, how they got to where they are, the challenges they went through,
Exactly.
how they kind of overcome them, because we all have the same problems.
Yeah.
But until you hear someone else talk about it, you think you're on your own.
Exactly.
And we're not. Like, there is a community out there. We all have been through the same things everyone has
Yeah.
at one point or another. So, yeah, just make it feel people feel more supported and
Yeah. Bringing people together.
bring
that's
people together. We're here to help. That's the goal. I want to see more brown people in the creative industry. So
nice. Exactly.
that's how we're going to do it.
We need to break in as well.
Yeah.
So Rajib, is there any way we can get to you? Any places? We'll put the links up here.
Yeah, obviously we're on Instagram, so that's our main channel, which is Brown Ink on Instagram. You can follow Brown Ink on LinkedIn as well. Those are our two main channels. People can reach out to me directly if they've got any
Yeah,
need
we'll
any
put your
help
LinkedIn.
or,
Yeah.
Follow me there. Brownink.co.uk is our website.
Nice.
There is a new website coming very soon. Once we get the time to actually sit down and do it.
And how often are your events? Is it monthly or?
So at the moment we have one event a month, which is a free event.
Okay.
From next year, we're looking at doing 2 events a month. So one will be free, one will be a paid event.
Yeah.
And then we're bringing out some webinars and some things because, we're London-based at the moment.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people that message from all over the country.
Yeah.
Like Birmingham managed to have huge design communities,
Yeah.
same as Leeds. So doing something online, which, we can help those people that are not London-based as well. So
Tap into that.
there'll be some digital events coming along, online events. So yeah,
Oh, that sounds
look out
exciting.
for it.
Well, thank you very much for coming on
No,
Chitchatchai.
thank you for having me. It's been
And I'm
been
look,
good.
well, I'm going to come to one of your events. For
Yeah,
sure.
come. We're always welcome.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.